I find that endlessly interesting for a couple different reasons. So on the one hand, I'm not the biggest fan of Saber's Edge. It's not a bad boss battle theme by any stretch of the imagination. It's hard when I think about Blinded by Light, Nascent Requiem, and Chaos Battle theme that I listened to already from Final Fantasy 13. Saber's Edge is a song that I listened to and played on Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, which, by the way, if you love Final Fantasy music, you gotta buy that game. So I have this weird relationship with Saber's Edge where I listen to it and I'm like, it's actually like really interesting to talk about. And it's basically more jazz than boss battle music, which is super fun and interesting. We really don't hear jazz in boss music or battle music in general. So you hear how right off the bat we have that percussive forward momentum. That, of course, occurs in every single Final Fantasy battle theme that you can think of. It's a little subdued in a weird way for a boss battle theme because you would think that it would be a little bit more grandiose. Right, we know what that is. Or from Final Fantasy VIII. It's a little bit it's a little like, okay, sounds kind of like an ambulance more than anything else. But as we keep listening, it's pretty interesting what the piano and the harp do here. Let's check it out. You hear that? And then underneath too, we have the horns going. Those are adding a little bit of flavor to this otherwise fairly monotonous. But that harp is a nice little touch to sort of start us onto the melody idea of this piece. And you hear that piano. That's very much jazz piano. It's very evocative and really expressive and almost like a twinkling, like a comet shooting out of the sky or something. It's very energized. Right there too. Again, there's this jazz quality to it that is a little bit spontaneous. When I say jazz, what I really mean is that there's a sense of spontaneity. There's no like direction to it per se. We can't pin it down. It really feels like it's kind of coming out of the water, reaching up and then coming back down. Kind of, you don't know when it's going to jump out of the water. That sort of piano lick or that harp lick that are really like seasoning on this like nice piece of meat. Here's the entree, and then let's splash a little garlic powder or a little bit of pepper, right? And this part's kind of interesting to me because we have this kind of percussive repetitive thing here. And then right here, we have a big shift. And this is where we check it out. Listen to how quick the transition is. What a fun melody. So this is where we take this boss theme and it's like, oh fine, it's like, I would say fairly average to my ear. It just is a little repetitive and a little redundant, and you throw in this gorgeous melody and all of a sudden it feels like we're ascending and climbing high and reaching up to the distance, and it's so satisfying. Here, let's take a listen to this. I find find that endlessly interesting for a couple different reasons. One, actually at the very bottom of this layer, or at the very top of this layer, depending on how you want to look at it, there is this interesting augmented, diminished, some sort of flat set. I don't know what the chord structure is there. Boom, 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 boom. In the piano, that is, it sounds antagonistic. It sounds like it's clashing with itself. That's really exciting because over top you have this gorgeous melody. You have this beautiful melody that is just very, very peaceful in the horns. That's very enthusiastic, very energetic, very, in some ways, hopeful. What's really interesting is that then when it repeats, you have the repeat, which is connected with a trumpet. Then the trumpet comes in and it repeats the melody with those horns. So then we have the like a layering of emphasis and of energy, which is super satisfying. While underneath, if you take another listen, is boom, chung, 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 super crunchy. I think that that's really cool because it sort of gives that clash of battle where we have the optimism and enthusiasm and fearlessness of, say, Lightning or whoever we're fighting with. And underneath, you also have that tension and that clash that is inert and essential to a boss battle theme. I think the unique aspects of Final Fantasy XIII, regardless of gameplay or the very clear controversial takes that is this game, some people either love it or absolutely hate it. In 2023, we're still at this point. I mean, any video about Final Fantasy XIII is going to have two opposing comments. I love it. The story's terrible. The music's amazing. I hate it. The music is great. It's too linear. It's perfect. Now it's better than it was. I mean, there's like there's a huge duality in the way that the fan base handles this game, which is really interesting. Having never played it, actually makes me want to play it more because I want to actually have a stronger opinion about what I feel about it. Because musically, I enjoy it very much. But let's just listen to one more pass, and I want you to listen to the lower layer or the upper layer, whichever one comes to your mind, where we hear that crunching piano. Yeah. It's so curious because it's like boom, bim, bum, bum, boom, 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 bim, bum, bum, boom, boom, boom. It's really cool. These licks are so fantastic. Let's go. It's confident, but it's not so over the top that it kind of overtakes your emotional well-being or your emotions on a particular situation. It's very balanced. It doesn't scream like, we've got this, and it doesn't scream, I am a boss, I'm going to kill you. It's very much this even playing field where we don't feel super empowered, but we also don't feel super weak. And there's a bit of enthusiasm, a bit of joy of battle perhaps even. And I think that that's really fun because we can kind of play with those particular emotions depending on the boss that we're facing. It's fun. It's just interesting to not feel overconfident in something. It's very infrequent that we hear true jazzy battle themes. It's just not common. And I don't know why that is. I think that this is a very explorative, almost improvisational piece, which I think speaks to the idea that battle themes don't have to be prescribed or have to be one sort of way. This particular boss battle theme is very improvisatory, where as listeners, our ideas are, oh, well, maybe I'll swipe here, maybe I'll throw a grenade here, maybe I'll do an uppercut here. Oh, they now are attacking me. I didn't realize that. And so like there's this kind of dance that occurs that I think is really common in jazz, where we're kind of borrowing and taking turns and playing with creativity in the moment rather than having something prescribed or transcribed that we must follow exactly. And in this particular case, it's abundantly clear that that's really the intention, I believe, from my personal and professional perspective. I just find even this is very big block chords, very enthusiastic, very focused, very determined, very driven, and I think that the block chords really aid in that. That's that confidence that we need as listeners and as players to really allow us to feel focused and feel determined. And I love that pretty much every battle theme in its existence involves some sort of driving factor that is there to help us as players to feel invigorated and feel enthusiastic and feel ready to go. And Final Fantasy 13, Saber's Edge is no different. It's a really, really fun piece. Not my favorite boss battle theme by any stretch of the imagination, but one that I think is valid and important. And Final Fantasy 13's music continues to be interesting to me because of its depth and because of how expansive it can be. It's really satisfying to listen to. If you like this, there's actually more Final Fantasy 13 on the channel and likely more to come. I hope you'll check those videos out. I hope you'll check out more Final Fantasy on the channel. Feel free to like, subscribe if you want to support the Patreon and support me directly. I certainly would appreciate that. And as always, thanks a ton, and I'll see you later. Bye.